soy Brenda Romaniello. Hi, I'm Brenda Romaniello, your Spanish teacher. And today, in the lesson, we are going to have Hola, soy Brenda Romaniello. Hi, I'm Brenda Romaniello, your Spanish teacher. And today, in the lesson, we are going to have a look at how to talk about our language abilities, discussing language abilities in Spanish, specifically how to talk about what languages you can speak. Let's start then with some vocabulario. Let's have a look at some vocabulary of different languages in Spanish. Español. ¿Puedes repetir? Can you repeat after me? Español. Español. Coreano. Coreano. Okay, español of course means Spanish. Coreano. Coreano means Korean. Italian. How do we say Italian in Spanish? Italiano. 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 Muy bien. How do we say English in Spanish? Do you know? Inglés. 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 How do we say Chinese? We say Chino. 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 How do we say French in Spanish? Francés. 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 How do we say Japanese in Spanish? We are going to say Japonés. 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 German, we say Alemán. 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 And the last one that we have here today is Portugués. Portugués. Portugués, which means Portuguese. A few things that I want us to talk about these languages that we have here. Have you noticed, number one thing is that we don't capitalize the languages in Spanish. As you can see, all the English translations, they have the capital letter at the beginning of the word. In Spanish, we don't do that. Everything is with lowercase at the beginning of the word. Something else, I'm going to give you extra information that you can use as well. So you can use this as well, not only the language, if you want to talk about a language in Spanish, you can also use these words if you want to describe the nationality of men in Spanish. So if a man is from Spain, we're going to say that this person is español. Or if someone is English, then Inglés, etc., etc. So it's really interesting. You have a little bit of extra vocabulary that you can use for something else. But these are also languages. These are the languages. Something else I want to point out is that some languages like English, Japonés, Alemán, Portugués, Francés, can you see that little accent, that written accent at the top? Well, that indicates where the stress of the word goes. So that's really helpful. With this one, for example, you know that it's not Inglés. You know that the stress of the word goes in the last syllable. Inglés. Inglés. The same with Japonés. Japonés. Francés. So the other words, they don't have these written accents, so you don't know exactly, it doesn't tell you exactly where to put the stress of the word, but you know that you can, for example, in español, you have to go with the stress in the last syllable as well. Español. Español. Fantastico. Let's have a look at this vocabulary and let's put it into practice in a dialogue. So, por ejemplo, ¿hablas inglés? ¿Hablas inglés? Do you speak English? ¿Hablas inglés? Sí, hablo inglés. Sí, hablo inglés. Sí, hablo inglés. Let's have a look at some other answers that we can have for this question. ¿Hablas, por ejemplo, español? ¿Hablas español? Sí, hablo español. Sí, hablo español. Yes, I speak Spanish. ¿Hablas japonés? ¿Hablas japonés? Sí, Hablo japonés. Sí, hablo japonés. And let's say that you don't speak the language. How do we answer that? For example, ¿hablas chino? ¿Hablas chino? Then if you want to say that you don't speak Chinese, then you can say no. No hablo chino. No. No hablo chino. Fabuloso. Okay, but remember, if you want to talk about the abilities that you have for speaking other languages, you can say sí, hablo, and then whatever language you speak. So let's have a look at the structure for this. We're going to say sí, hablo, and then the language. Yes, I speak that language. Muy bien, es hora de practicar. It's time to practice. Do you remember how to say English in Spanish? Inglés. Inglés. Do you remember how to say speak in Spanish? Hablo. Hablo. Do you remember how to say I speak English? Hablo inglés. Hablo inglés. And do you remember how to say, yes, I speak English? Sí, hablo inglés. Sí, hablo inglés. Do you remember how to say Spanish? Español. Español. Do you remember how to say Japanese? Japonés. Japonés. Do you remember how to say Korean? Coreano. Coreano. Do you remember how to say Chinese in Spanish? Chino. Chino. Do you remember how to say German in Spanish? Alemán. Alemán. Do you remember how to say Italian in Spanish? Italiano. Italiano. Do you remember how to say Portuguese in Spanish? Portugués. Portugués. And the last one, do you remember how to say French in Spanish? Francés. Francés. Fabuloso. Very good job. I really hope that you enjoyed today's lesson, and thank you so much for learning a little bit of Spanish with me. I will see you next class. Adios.
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.